Hey, good morning, Kevin. What's going on, baby?
Morning. How you doing?
Long time no see. You are a Present Like a Pro alumni, man. How's that feel?
Been a while. Feels great.
You are, were, and I assume still are, a role model student. You were so interested in improving your situation, which, by the way, was already a good situation as a salesperson at Aflac.
Yes.
And revisiting here months and months after you've graduated from Present Like a Pro, you have a special announcement. Something cool happened for you recently, yeah?
Oh, well, yeah. Well, a couple things have happened. I was in Bermuda 3 weeks ago on the President's Club trip. Got to spend time with the CEO of Aflac, who you might not know this, but he is the second longest serving CEO in corporate America, right under Warren Buffett.
Second
So,
longest
second
CEO. I
longest
didn't know
serving
that.
CEO. Yeah. Yeah.
What's his name?
So Dan Amos, Amos. Yeah,
Is he an older guy?
yeah. He's in his 70s.
All right.
Um, his father started Aflac in 1955, and it was really nice just to spend personal time with him. We went out on a boat. About 16 of us went out on a boat with him, and got to ride a bike with him. And he's pedaling faster than me, and he's yelling. He turned around and, Kevin, keep up. We don't want to lose you. Nice that the CEO knows my name. Oh, and then a funny story. So we're in Bermuda, and there's no straight roads. There's always a turn. We're on bicycles going through the woods as well, and a chicken comes out of nowhere. You could hear the chickens and the roosters. If you've ever been to an island, they just run wild.
Yeah.
And a chicken came out, and Dan's on his bike going like this, and I'm like, oh my God, I can just see the newspaper headlines now. Chicken kills duck.
That's
he,
what's up.
he stayed on his bike. He was fine.
That's great.
So yeah, so that was a fun trip.
By the
Um,
way, for the uninitiated, the President's Trip is typically, or President's Club, some companies call it the President's Circle. It's a
yeah,
chance for the upper crust, the very top elite sales performers to spend time in a rarefied air, say with the CEO or at a special retreat or at a worldwide tourist destination. And you say only 16 people went on this trip?
well, top 25 in my category as far as a manager, but then there was there was agents. There was 200 of us total,
Okay.
but we
But
got to
200
spend
out,
a lot of
200 out of how many employees?
thousands, tens of thousands.
Yeah, Aflac is a big, big company. So this is, again, rarefied air, everybody, that Kevin Noll is in. I can't take credit for any of it, actually. He was going to President's Club well before he was in my program.
I
But
I was on course for it, but I didn't earn it until the end of week 52, 2018. So
yeah,
there was a possibility that I could have not achieved it.
yeah.
And yeah, I think you definitely helped. I really do.
Well, you and I both agree that this idea of accumulated learning, which is working every week to sharpen the axe, improve our skill set, learn more about the sales trade craft. I mean, all of that's important. And you're a big lifelong learner. You've been in a lot of these types of programs before. And I appreciate, by the way, the very kind testimonial that you gave a while back. You said some very nice things about both me and my program, and I was genuinely touched by that.
Thank you.
So when Kevin tells you that he's one of the top, he's a humble guy, but he says it in a different way than I say it. This guy is one of the top sales guys at Aflac. He never talks about himself that way, but that is absolutely the truth. And something recently happened that bumped you into even higher altitude. Please tell us.
Well, as far as my consecutive quarters in a row, so I have 9 successful quarters in a row where I hit my quota, and that's a record in Pennsylvania, where I'm based out of. The previous record before that was 7 quarters in a row, so 9. So now the pressure's on for 10,
Well, let's
and
keep it going, man. And perhaps that's why you're attending a class with me today. We're going to talk in a minute about the leave behind, the presentation leave behind. If you want to search it up in YouTube, search my full name plus the words leave behind, everybody. And we'll tackle it, Kevin. Before we do that, I want to get from you a quick summary of some things that you're still using from the Present Like a Pro class from weeks and weeks and weeks ago, months ago, actually. You had mentioned 3 things that you do. If we get kind of at a preamble to this session, 3 things that you do all the time now as a result of the course. Let's run them down.
Sure. Well, yeah, I always, I like to do the call to action at the end because I want to just put a nice bow on things and just wrap it up.
Yeah.
So, but before that, while I'm talking, I always like to do the power of 3, where I ask them to, I need you to write this down.
Yeah.
That's something that you taught me. When you ask people to write something down, that's implying that what you're about to say is important. It's something that you should digest. It's something that perhaps you should share with others. It's something that you need to do. So
For sure.
rather than me saying, hey, what I'm about to tell you right now is important, they'll be like, yeah. But if you say, I need you to write this down, bam, there. So I need you to write this down, and then I do the power of 3, where I give 3 strong points about something that I want to drive home, that I want to make sure that they understand, and then do the call to action at the end. So every speech that I give, I make sure to ask them, write something down, give power of 3 points. And I use my fingers. I'll count 1, 2, make it visual, and then the call to action. So yeah, that's something that it's natural now. It just, every time I need to talk, I make sure that I implement them, and that's to your credit. Thank you.
I love it. Thanks very much. Let's break it down for people that are maybe hearing these terms for the first time. This concept of having the other person or people in the audience write down what you're saying serves you in so many ways. Let's talk about a couple of them, Kevin. You go to corporations, sit in a breakout room, and explain to audience members why it would be in their best interest to have gap insurance.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
And so insurance is not an easy thing for people to understand. Many of these people have to go home and explain your presentation. They essentially have to give your presentation to somebody they live with, a husband, a wife, a spouse, partner, whoever. And if they didn't understand it when you gave the presentation to them, you can imagine that the presentation that they give to their life partner is going to be a mess. So writing it down and taking notes is going to serve everybody, but you have to remember to actually get them to write stuff down. A lot of people don't have the presence of mind to even take notes. Stunning as it may be, I find that to be very true. Another advantage is that if they're talking to multiple sources, say they're getting multiple bids, or they're talking to multiple salespeople about different plans, if you happen to be the only salesperson who asks them to write something down, they've got more notes from your session than they do from all of the other vendors combined.
Yep.
Now, this implies that you gave them more information, which may not be true, but the physical representation of something in their handwriting, I think, speaks to the good, don't you?
Absolutely. Yes.
So that's the idea of having people write stuff down when you're speaking to them. The power of 3 is cool, Kevin. I think you appreciate that when you say that, listen, there are only 3 things you need to know about gap insurance, ladies and gentlemen. Number 1, number 2, number 3. 3 is an easy number. People can't remember long strings of things. They can't remember 11 points. They can't remember 12 reasons. They can't even remember a 10-digit phone number.
Sure.
But almost everybody can remember 3 things. And certainly as a presenter, you can remember 3 things. It makes you seem tight and organized. It makes the concept seem simple. Imagine saying to people, there are only 3 things you need to know versus there are only 17 things you need to know about gap insurance. I mean, their eyes would glaze over and you'd lose them almost instantly. So I think that's why the power of 3 delivers. You've had the similar experience?
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to keep it simple. And a lot of times, you're absolutely right. When I'm showing the policies to them, if they can't make a decision now, they got to take it home to the boss, and they need to show her what it's about and explain it basically they have to do my job, and I have to make it as simple as possible.
You bet. Now, the most curious one for me in this conversation is the CTA, because I know that you were aware of the importance of a call to action before I met you.
Sure.
And yet you mentioned it today as kind of a highlight and one of those gifts that keeps on giving from the online Present Like a Pro training course. What is it about our recent discussions about the CTA that stay with you?
Well, it's a way to conclude your speech. It's a way. Well, it's the last thing they're going to remember, other than going back and reviewing their notes. And the call to action. I mean, if I'm giving a speech in a Rotary a circle, well, then that call to action is to get them excited, to get them to do something, to either write a check or volunteer their time.
Right.
If I'm doing it in my professional world of selling insurance, well, then, the call to action is, hey, I don't sell insurance. I sell peace of mind.
Yeah.
If you get sick or hurt and can't work, you have money to pay your bills. That's what I do. And the call to action is also letting them know the next step, because I know the next step. I know what I need to do. I need to sit down, do an application, submit it, give the payroll deductions to HR, but they don't know that. So the call to action is almost like telling them that this is what we're doing next.
Yeah, you've sold a lot more policies than they've purchased or bought.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do know the next step, and you can stage that by saying, okay, our next step is to fill out an application, or our next step is to schedule another meeting, or whatever it is, whatever the next step is.
Exactly.
For you to actually prompt them for this is a pretty good thing. A lot of salespeople, because we don't like rejection, we hang back and we wait for them to just open their arms and say, oh, I love it, sign me up. And we know that it's easier for people to say, I need to think about it, or I got to talk to my wife, or there's any number of excuses, I don't think I need it. And then, of course, they slip away from us. They end up not being protected for insurance. This is not just about making money or achieving President's Club. This is about being able to deliver a product that people actually need and sometimes don't know they need it. That's why the CTA is so important. It's not about closing and collecting the money, right?
That's right. Also, while prospecting, the call to action, it is basically the next step. Because otherwise, if in my industry, if I was to prospect, show the business owner what Aflac's all about, and they would say, all right, great, I'll think about it, I'll let you know. Well, you need that call to action. You need that next step. You need that commitment of what's going to happen next.
Yeah, we all know that the I'll think about it and let you know is a conversation that can almost never be microwaved.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm so proud of you, man. You are an early success story for this Present Like a Pro program, and you're a role model student, and it's just so nice to visit with you and get the kind of the retrospect.
Yeah, same here. Thank you. Appreciate everything you've done for me.
My pleasure, Kevin. Thanks very much.